Hello everyone. I'm really excited about this video series that we're putting together, and a big thank you in advance for everyone that's going to be making videos and sharing your stories and experiences, and a special thanks to those behind the scenes making it all happen. I just wanted to share a quick story about the power of prayer. As many of you know, we have a daughter, Mara, who at the age of 5 was diagnosed with brain cancer, and those ensuing months were very difficult and challenging for our family. About 10 months after her diagnosis, I remember a specific day. At this point, she had deteriorated quite a bit. She was using a feeding tube. She could no longer walk. She was in a wheelchair. And she had been facing some other challenges, and so in consulting with the doctors, we felt it was time to get another MRI. And so I had packed her up with me that morning to get in early to Seattle Children's so she could have an MRI done while Heather took care of some things at home, and then she joined us later that day. We had kind of our typical day at the hospital. It's kind of full of different things, a little tricky and difficult, but she was doing pretty well. Heather had joined us for appointments with the doctors and the speech pathologists and nutritionists. And then we had moved on to her chemotherapy infusion. She was doing kind of an experimental chemotherapy at the time. So needless to say, it left for a very long day. At the end of the day, we were wrapping up, heading outside to pack up and head home in the 2 different cars we brought. And right then, Mara threw up everywhere, kind of to wrap up the day. And it took us a little while. We got her cleaned up. Got things kind of situated, and I got Heather and her loaded up in the van, and they headed home, and then I followed in the other car. And I just remember the feeling as I left the hospital that day of, I just can't do this anymore. I didn't know how we were going to keep going. How do we keep doing this day after day? Kind of that feeling that I'm sure many of you have experienced in your trials, where you just want to crumple up in a little heap and say, I'm done, I can't do it. And I remember offering a prayer as I drove home, asking God, help us. I don't know how we keep going. I just didn't know what to do and how we could keep going. And as we arrived home that evening, there was a family there. Their daughters had come over earlier that day to help babysit our other kids while we were at the hospital. But we were surprised that many of their family had come beyond just these daughters, and their extended family had come. We found the house vacuumed and cleaned and swept. Dinner was ready on the table. Some of their family were in the backyard taking care of yard work for us. And as I thought about that day and the prayer I had offered, I realized God was already answering it. He had started answering the prayer long before I had even offered it. He knew what we were experiencing, what we were going through. And it was just such a powerful experience for us to realize that God was real. He loved us. He knew us. He knew what we were experiencing and what we needed. And I've had that happen over and over again in my life, that power of prayer. And coupled with it, I've learned that He tends to answer our prayers through other people. And I'm just so grateful for the many wonderful people who've acted as His hands, both then and now in our lives.